The FBI is cracking down on sex trafficking and the pimps who target vulnerable victims.
As Marlie Hall explains, the FBI and other groups have teamed up to make it much more difficult for traffickers to continue their illegal business.
It's like your soul is screaming to get out of your body, to leave.
Hope Valor was a 10-year-old runaway when she was forced to have sex for money.
What did they do to you?
They pushed me into a bedroom door with a man who was in his 40s or 50s, about my dad's age, and told me that I had to do whatever he wanted.
The couple who took her in were sex traffickers. They were the first of many for Hope, who endured years of rape and abuse before finally breaking free. Nationwide, as many as 300,000 children are forced into the sex trade. Only about 1% are ever identified.
This is a tough crime to really assess.
Denver Police Sergeant Dan Steele works with the FBI's Innocence Lost initiative. A national raid last month netted 150 pimps and rescued 149 children. He says while prostitutes still advertise on the street, pimps have gone high-tech.
If you have access to a computer and the ability to travel, then you can make a lot more money online.
It's also where they're getting caught. Software called Traffic Jam is helping police find pimps by analyzing their online ads.
It enables us to track these pimps even when they're trying to throw off law enforcement.
Truckers are joining the fight too. Truck stops can be hubs for sex workers. Truckers Against Trafficking has trained more than 160,000 drivers to recognize and report signs of sex trafficking.
It's a grassroots movement. It's people who are standing up and saying, we can do something about this.
Valor says everyone can help bring this hidden epidemic to light.
It could be next door, and you may not have a clue, but if you know what to look for and how to handle the situation, that child's life is worth it.
Marlie Hall is here with us. Marlie, I thought that statistic, 300,000 children trafficked every year in the U.S., is so alarming. How is it that children end up in the sex trade in the United States?
It's mainly through threats, lies, and violence. Sex traffickers employ two methods to force women and girls into the sex trade. First, they become Romeo pimps, so-called Romeo pimps. So they act as a girl's boyfriend, pretend to love them and care for them and provide for their needs. And that's the grooming process. And from there, they're pushed into selling their bodies and handing over the profits. And then there are guerrilla pimps who basically rule by violence and force and say, I will beat you if you don't do what I say.
And we've heard stories before about how complicated that relationship is, if you want to call it a relationship. Like, it's a sort of relationship between the prostitute and the pimp. So it must be challenging for law enforcement to capture these traffickers. What are they doing?
Well, one of the latest or most recent methods that they're using is using high-tech software like Traffic Jam. And what that software does, it analyzes hundreds of thousands of online ads placed by sex traffickers on social media, escort and dating sites, and it identifies patterns, unique markers such as a descriptive word that's used over and over again, or a consistent misspelling, and that can help identify and locate a trafficker.
It's interesting how they're using technology in this way, but it also seems to be like such a daunting problem. I mean, can this really make a dent in it?
Well, as you said, 300,000 children are at risk every single year, and that raid last month by the FBI rescued only 150, so it's just scratching the surface. Less than 1% of victims are ever identified or even rescued. But the upside is more people than ever before are aware of the problem and passionately fighting against it, from law enforcement to private industry to everyday people. And survivors themselves will tell you that this is a criminal enterprise that thrives in secrecy, in the shadows. And once there is a light on it, then that dark criminal enterprise can begin to dissipate.
Such an important issue. Marlie Hall, thank you for your reporting.
Thank you.